Open dictation. Today, I would like to announce an open source language learning app by the name Open Dictation. Previously, I had showed a few videos of myself doing ear training with sight dictation, and I'll remind you a little bit of how that worked. So if I wanted to play a Pomodoro session of 25 minutes in German, I'll have to raise the volume so you can hear that. I'm not sure. Something about songs. Oh, einige erstmals gedruckte Lieder. I'm not sure. If you're familiar with the app, you'll note that right now, rather than submit, if you got it right, not sure if I did, but you can opt into translation so you don't immediately go to the next audio. Okay, got it right. Yeah. So just in case if you want to improve your vocabulary, if you're not sure about something, and see this button here, you can also check it in order to basically block in MP3 if the audio quality is poor and making you deaf. And I'm kind of sick today and it's cold, so I have the hood on. Something about Sabrina. I don't know. Verbal. She's acting, I don't know, from the shadows or not transparently. Just and again, because this is a video, I'm just gonna yeah, operate some secret. All right, so we'll do a few more. And but this is the idea. You do this for 25 minutes, you do it privately. You don't talk with other people as you do it. You don't waste your time. You should be able to do about 45 to 50 exercises in 25 minutes, if not better, if your proficiency is at a higher level in the European Common Reference Framework for Languages. So again, the repo is right here. This is public. Now you might ask, yes, it's great that I can get the data. For example, I can download Common Voice Corpus 1 for German from commonvoice.mozilla.org, and other languages like French also have copious amounts of data. Common Voice 19, for example, version 19, 27 gigabytes. An ordinary machine, this is, for example, a pretty low-powered MacBook Air. I don't really like the idea of downloading 27 gigabytes, so I've actually started with 2 gigabytes. It took a little while, but I got it. But what you can also do is download the deltas. This is just the 59 megabytes, new clips that are new for French, if you wanted to learn French. I don't. I actually tried it for a little bit, but a lot of the sentences are just addresses in French colonies in Africa. So it's a bit difficult for that reason, among others. But Romanian, really the first language that I engaged in hardcore private custom language learning, which would be spoke, privately written application. So, excuse me. But the audio data is here. So if I go to, for example, on your computer, you might have this is Delta. Okay, this is the CV. I don't know, Common Voice Corpus 17 Delta DE German. So I have all the clips that are in version 17, just the Delta. So what's new in 17 versus what had been there before in version 16 and prior. And typically what I'll do is I'll take the validated file, and if you were to open this, what you would see, the TSV, lots of columns, but I reduce it to two columns in another repo with some other code. But if you don't want to do that, if you don't want to process the validated TSV yourself, I have another repo, open dictation data, which so far I'm offering pretty well curated curated in the sense that sometimes the transcripts are wrong. Very, very rarely. You might say, well, who are you? Because you're a student of these languages to really correct them. Yeah, but some cases it's obvious. And if I make one mistake, in the case where I'm editing maybe, I don't know, 5, 10 manuscripts out of 17,000, does it really matter? Probably not. So you can just click. So if I want the 17 delta for German, it'll take a little while. It's a fairly big file. But yeah, you're probably better off cloning a repository or yeah, going for the raw download raw file. That's what you'd want to do onto your machine. And then where do you put it? Hit the back button so Chrome doesn't run out of memory. I'm using Zoom. So again, it's a pretty low-powered MacBook Air. I couldn't do something, as far as I know, like running Docker and a database here. And of course, I don't also want to pull these from, say, S3, Amazon's web services storage. I wanted a local so I can play this on an airplane, for example, where I don't might not have an internet connection or a train or in an Uber. I used to commute by Uber for a while, and I didn't have a reliable internet connection, but I wanted to play while the other guy is driving, basically, but paying, and then as well use the time. Well, so you would have this site dictation. It's a previous name of open-dictation. Now it's open-dictation, not like an official website or domain where we're gonna make a lot of money charging absurd fees for hardcore language learners who could just do this themselves. Speaking of doing it yourself, maybe you could do this all with Anki. I like to have a bespoke application, not only to practice programming, but to really customize the user experience. But anyway, I have the sentences in a directory right here. So you see that where these corpus TSV text files are on your machine is one of the environment variables you need to pass to open-dictation when you're running it. I don't know exactly where you're going to put these. Maybe there can be some standard way to do it, kind of like applications have their own space in the root or in the library, but my first time actually writing this kind of application. So again, I'll remind you, if you're curious, that you do need a bunch of environment variables, which isn't the most user-friendly setup. And if you want translate, users you, so whatever your name is, if you're using Mac, Windows, of course, it's going to be different. You'll have to figure that out. But you'll need to specify these ones. And hopefully these explanations are useful. You have to specify, with each one, a transaction happened. I heard an audio, I MP3. I tried to transcribe it. I got it right. It was correct. That's a record of my interaction with the MP3. That's a transaction. So you're also going to need a directory wherever you want. Maybe there could be some recommended or auto-created directory. This is like alpha, so we're not doing that. I'm not sure, to be honest, but dictation transactions bucket. Buckets, an AWS term for a directory, basically. And if it's not, then leave a comment down below to disabuse me of this analogy. But open dictation transactions. So directory from which transactions are read from which transactions are read, and to which they are saved in your machines. Every time you do this, you transcribe, a transaction is saved somewhere. And you could have multiple transactions of the same audio. That aggregate of transactions for the same audio clip is called a position. So if there are, let's say, 20,000 audio clips available that you're studying, so to speak, but you're not really studying in any traditional sense. You're really trying to condition yourself in your own Skinner box to just listen and thereafter gradually understand, but not rationally, but through having absorbed a critical mass of phonetic data. That's kind of the approach here. It's not about getting your homework right, getting 100. Just do this every day, get success even below 50%. It doesn't matter. With the spaced repetition scheme, going back to Anki, but also you may be familiar with Closemaster, other super memo, maybe spaced repetition. Because the spaced repetition scheme It's like propaganda, like repetitions, beating on your brain. It should be conditioned with enough. If you do this at sufficient volume, you have to do it in high volume. You're not going to get results otherwise. It's like certain calisthenics programs. So you just say you just did one set of push-ups a day, you're not going to get results. But if you do it, um, a lot of sets, low reps, for example, high volume trainings, you could get decent results. Excuse me. But just to prove my point, if I go to IntelliJ, where I'm running the application, what you would see, run and get that out of the way. Yeah, say 50,000 blah transactions for corpus common voice validated DE. This is just a regular one. This is really just common voice one. I thought I would just aggregate them all into a master file, but that didn't quite work out. The files are big. So the file is called transactions. You don't see my Gmail. Okay. But that's kind of the that's why get out of there. Oops. So um yeah, you can specify your username, I guess anything you want. But if you ever want to use your transaction files on a website that's doing OAuth with Google, then it helps to use your email address as a kind of default name. But anyway, shall we do one more or shall we talk about the project actually? So another repo, as I mentioned, open dictation data, you don't have to process the transcript files typically validated at TSV from Mozilla in some cases. I've done it for German and Romanian. I have a little bit for Spanish and French, but I haven't actually tested them. I haven't played around with them extensively. And it seems that with each language that you learn with this method, you actually have to add different features to the application, which brings me back to this reserve button. In Romanian, for example, the audio quality was typically very good. I didn't really have a problem with going deaf, basically due to poor quality audio, and I could set the volume at the default level for a Chrome audio or HTML audio element. And in German, you can't really do that. Quality is bad, but also and the pronunciation is much more crisp and clear in Romanian. There isn't very much spelling ambiguity as well. I believe homophones are rarer in Romanian than in German, which makes German harder. You also have double consonants in a lot of words, which let's just go through a few examples to show you what I mean. But in general, I don't, in my opinion, German native speakers do not pronounce their words and sentences as openly as Romanian speakers do. Makes it harder. Okay. What in Gink, they put a ton sounds. Okay, so there's some penalty money. Let me just and note that the escape button will play. I don't have to click here. The escape button will play, and I can turn up the volume so you can hear it. But trust me that if you have a headset on, you can hear the audio on your own machine. I apologize for the poor quality that's coming over the wire for the YouTube video. Oh, into losing? I don't know. Kind of, I don't know. So we're gonna get this wrong, I believe, but just in case we don't, let's just translate it. Okay, completely. Whoops. By having a high ransom, he escaped deportation. What did I say? Owen. Yeah, I was hearing things that weren't there. So if you dispute this though, say you're just one character off, say I forgot the S, which is a typo, in this newer version of sight dictation, which comes into open dictation, you can just say, you know what? I got it right. I'd rather not repeat this 5 minutes later or have it scheduled for review, losing all my progress in 5 minutes or maybe more as some things go. I have 16,000 other MP3 that I haven't even heard yet. So let's prioritize more exposure. That's going to get me the fluency that I want faster. I have to kind of relax my moral values. If the audio quality were poor, then you could reserve it. You block this. You can release the reservation later, the financial term, but it's like many things else in this app. Anyway, next one. This is horrible. There's something Darstellung zusammen. Uh, I heard that word, but besagt da Darstellungen auf Spezial, I don't know, modulare. I don't know. I'm not gonna get this anytime today, but turn the volume. I'm not sure what you could ask ChatGPT what the context of this is, but in the course of a Pomodoro session, I believe it's mostly a waste of time. It's on your mind, it helps you remember, but it states a representation. What kind of representations? I don't know. Yeah, we're not going to dispute this. I didn't hear a lot of it. A lot of yellow missing. Red's just shouldn't be there. It's wrong. You added it. It shouldn't be there. Spezialfall modulare. I'm not going to try to speak. I only just listen. Muss es nicht ungefährlich sein. Oh, I don't know if you heard that, but that would be grounds to just reserve this because that's a bit too loud in the ear. Rhyme. I got this wrong previously, but it's Rhyme pflanzlich. Pflanzlich ist. Obviously, you don't want the Rhine River. In German, it's Rhine, purely plant-based something. So because the audio, I don't know if you hear this, is so poor, it has this uh I don't know what to call it, but I'm actually gonna reserve this. I got it right now. So I'm not missing much. Are you sure? And just in case you misclick, I do have a confirmation here. Ash gut auf Menschen zugehen. Miriam, I don't know. Something about she can approach people well. And typically we just hit submit, go on to the next one, but interactive video. And again, the white space doesn't, the way I've designed this, maybe it's open because it's open source, you can rewrite it the way you like. I don't require umlauts or anything else for German. I don't require proper punctuation, capitalization. I think it's a waste of time. Really just want to I've been saying this for so many years, but just really absorb the sounds, imbibe a critical mass of phonetic phenomena. So that something of a capacity, a nascent capacity to speak can exist in your brain or as your brain. But anyway, let's just see. Oh, whoops, I forgot the word goat. Okay, I heard the word goat, if you'll give me the benefit of the doubt. So this is a case where it's a typo. So I'm going to say it was correct. I'm not sure how to make it more clear. Force correct, we could call it. That's what it's called in the back end. We're going to force it to be correct. I'm not going to lose my progress on this one for a typo. And again, previously when I was playing, learning Romanian, I only had 5,000 sentences. So it wasn't really an infinite training set, effectively, infinite training set with hundreds of thousands of samples. You could go to Common Voice, for example, and go to German. You'll see that there are gigabytes and gigabytes in the new Corpora, the new version of the corpus. So, what's the point of punishing yourself for a typo? You could argue, well, because the rest of the sentence was so hard, the brain was under some stress, or you had some other I don't know, some other Freudian phenomenon. You made a Freudian slip, which of course all Freudian slips are overdetermined. So at some psychoanalytic level, you were overburdened by the rest of the sentence. You could make up some explanation like that. In my opinion, just mark it correct, move on. There are 20,000 or 200,000 other ones. Theme to the Bauschen, Wegeinserschlagen. And if you're not sure what that means, but you hear it, you can also, excuse me, D Europe. I heard der, but I know it's D if that's the nominative. Now, what? Muss begreifen das. I don't know. I don't know. One more time. I don't know. I have no idea. Gonna get it wrong? Okay, das ist sie im Begriff ist. Unfortunately. This is where you hear most of it, but you don't actually understand the expressions. So you reach the point where you're hearing kind of exceed your understanding. That leads you down the wrong path. European Union must understand that it's about to take the wrong path. Here's the choice to you. Should I punish myself for not understanding it, or it's so close? Das Sie. Eh. This is a case where love it, hate it. I'm just gonna say whatever. And on that note, we're just kind of exposing their feature. So if I try to submit and it's blank, we also get a warning so you don't accidentally submit a blank transcript. And I'm just going to leave it at that. So hopefully this launch of open dictation is clear enough to you. If you're familiar with GitHub, you can click this link. You can clone it on your computer. You would need Git. I prefer to just run this in an IDE, IntelliJ Community Edition, and I would make a launch. As I've showed, I don't want to actually expose the environment variables because some Google credentials, but you can enter them here. Like, say you need your bucket or whatever the name is. If I go to Chrome, it says, well, you're definitely going to need, oh, if you want to play German and you have this file and you have your own files, then, you know, I guess you'd have to, it's not a very good release. You'd have to go to, but just to show you, alternatively, you could do this in the shell and run it with Maven or just straight up Java just once you build the jar. But you could do something like that. This won't have any effect on the program. And actually, you can do it here. So Q equals Z and whatever. I forget there's one other thing I was going to mention, but yeah. So I'm going to cancel this actually. So right now, just because I've been playing only Romanian and German, you'll see that are some other Romanian corpora that are private. But yeah, there's but again, all you'd have to do if you're familiar with code, you just say you want to play Spanish, well, just download I guess Spanish, the third version of Spanish, for example. But yeah, long story short, you just have to modify the local. Or what you can do is you can copy the file, say Spanish, I don't know, Spanish. And if you don't want to check it in to custom to you, then you can go to hit ignore. I have some secrets in another version. I didn't want to accidentally check them into the repo, but application Spanish. If you wanted to, a bespoke profile where you have your Google credentials and all that and for translate and so on. But that's about it. So We're announcing again open dictation. We're also showing that we have some new features like opt-in for translation, reserving annoying uh, and audio reserving audio that's destructive to your ears, setting it aside. And also, as you've seen in other cases where you could force correct the grading of a transcript in the name of mass exposure. And that's about it. So, get to it.